Remember last July when a mob of 800 pro-Hamas demonstrators had a protest on the steps of Calgary City Hall. Now that's fine. We believe in freedom of association, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech in Canada, even for people who are anti-Semitic. But when that speech turns to violence, that's a different thing. Look at this video of a smaller group of these 800 breaking away from the main pack and beating to a pulp a half a dozen Jewish counter-protesters on the other side of the street. Take a look at the video. I'm sorry, that's a riot, a small riot, but a riot nonetheless. And as you notice, the police did nothing. The police were not even there. They simply forgot about this rally right out front of City Hall. That's actually their excuse, and they're standing by it. After the riot, neither the police nor City Hall put out any statement about the riot. It's as if they wished it never happened and pretended it never happened. Well, you and I did something about it on the All Sun News Network. We started, first of all, having a counter rally 2 weeks later. 900 Calgarians came to speak out for Canadian values and in support of Israel. This was Calgary, not Gaza, was our motto. We don't appreciate violent thuggery on the streets, but still police laid no charges. Then you and I and Sun News viewers got together and we set up riotstoppers.com trying to find out who these criminal rioters were, because it did not appear that either the city or the police department made it a top priority. Well, finally, 4 people were charged, a young offender and 3 adults. We told you about the young offender a few weeks ago. He got off with the lightest slap on the wrist. Well, 2 days ago, the 3 adults were in court and they pled guilty. Joining us now from Calgary via Skype is our friend Ryan Bellerose, who spoke at our peaceful protest, our counter rally last fall, and has been involved with this matter from the beginning. Ryan, great to see you again.
Hi, Ezra. How you doing?
Well, I'm okay, and it's great to see you. You're a great defender of Canadian values and of support for Israel. You are friends with some of the victims of this small riot, and you attended in court in Calgary 2 days ago when 3 of these thugs pled guilty. Can you tell me what happened in court that day?
Well, I struggle actually even calling it court. To me, it was more of a farce. We really had a prosecutor who acted more like a defense attorney. He clearly wasn't prepared. He didn't even know some of the most basic facts of the case. A couple times, I think the judge was actually trying to give him a chance by, saying, "Are you sure?" One time she actually told him, "Would you like some extra time?" And he said, I believe his exact words were, "Yeah, if I could have an adjournment for about 5 minutes." And she literally said, the judge said to him, "I don't know what you're going to accomplish in 5 minutes, but okay."
Huh. So let me be clear. So the judge was a woman judge, that's the she you're referring to, it was so obvious to her that the prosecutor was not well briefed on the file and was not presenting it forcefully that she actually suggested to him to spend some time reading his facts. And he said, oh yeah, 5 minutes. And are you saying that she said, you'll probably need more than 5? Am I understanding you correctly?
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much like her exact words were to the how did it go again? Yeah, it was literally like, "I don't know what you're going to accomplish in 5 minutes, but yeah, okay, have 5 minutes."
Well, now tell me what facts or lack of facts caused you to raise your eyebrows and caused the judge herself to feel like this prosecutor simply wasn't prepared. We've shown the video of the mini riot. At the Sun News Network, we interviewed several of the riot victims. I've paid attention to this since it happened last July. What, if anything, did the prosecutor know? It sounds like he just picked up the file literally an hour before court and said, oh yeah, let's just get rid of this. What did it actually look like in court that day? What did he say or not say?
Well, okay, so the very first thing that kind of really kind of brought home to us the fact that we didn't believe he was very well prepared was he didn't even know who organized it.
Who organized what, the big pro-Hamas protest?
Their main protest.
So
he didn't know who organized it. He didn't know the names of all the victims. In the statement of facts, they said that there was a large group of 15 pro-Israeli government protesters. And in actual point of fact, there was a family of 7 on the one side of the street. That was the Hamiltons with a family friend that was with them. And then on the other side of the street, there was 2 Christian guys and a Jewish guy who were actually on the other side of the street that were involved in the very first video. Jeff Willerton, Merle Tuleski, and I think David Bonstein.
And then there were 800 pro-Hamas protesters. So how was this characterized? Was this called a riot? Was this called what?
No,
how was it described?
That's the most ridiculous part. So throughout this entire process, not once have they mentioned that this was actually a mob attack, like a large group of people attacking a much smaller group of people. It was always characterized as an escalated conflict, which is patently ridiculous.
Well, and that's passive language. The conflict escalated. Well, yeah, someone escalated it. Now, let me ask you a question, because I remember watching when the young offender was sentenced, and I was disgusted by the prosecutor's statement to the court that it was 2 rival gangs and, violence broke out, as if they were 2 equally culpable sides, as if it was 2 gangs in Gangs of New York or something. Was there any language used by the prosecutor 2 days ago that implied sort of an equality of violence or an equality of malice, as if those Jews were dishing it out just as violently as the Arabs who beat them up?
Absolutely. It was basically, listening to the language, you would have thought that Jim and his family they were the ones that crossed the road and escalated the conflict, and not, literally were attacked 2 minutes after they walked up on the other side of the road from this protest. It was actually, to be honest with you, I was getting extremely irritated listening to it. And the agreed statement of facts was patently ridiculous. Like, they had the numbers wrong. I mean, they got the basic numbers wrong. If you get the numbers wrong, you're clearly not doing very much research.
Now, I spoke to Jake Burrell on the telephone 2 days ago. He was one of the victims of the riot. He told me that he was never asked by the prosecutor to provide a victim impact statement for this case. That traditionally, the victim of a crime is at least allowed to make a statement to the court. He told me that he was not even asked to do one, and thus he was not allowed to have one. Is that accurate?
Well, I can't speak to that because I wasn't in the room when Jake met with the prosecutor, but I did notice that the prosecution didn't call any witnesses. And it's actually really quite funny. While we were sitting in the gallery, the judge actually point blank asked him, "Do you know who organized the original protest?" And he said, "I think it was just a random event."
A random event with 800 people with signs saying, death to Israel or stop Israel.
Jim and I were literally, at that point, we were shaking our heads. Like, we were like, we couldn't believe it. We were like, is this guy for real? The judge actually in open court said, to the effect of, there's 2 people in the gallery that seem to strenuously disagree with you. You might want to look into that.
Unbelievable. You know what, Ryan, I want to thank you for involvement on this. I mean, first of all, you spoke at our counter rally, our peaceful pro-Canadian, pro-Israel counter rally 2 weeks after the riot. I'll always remember that and thank you for it. You have been a source of personal support for the family that was beat up. Over the course of the last 9 months, we've tried to help. We've hired a local lawyer to help navigate through the police. I'm going to call that a failure, and I'm embarrassed about that because Sun News viewers helped cut the check to hire the lawyer. The police did lay some charges, but no hate crimes charges, and the prosecution clearly didn't care. I got to tell you that the mayor didn't care, the city leaders didn't care, the police chief didn't care. The police department has not put out a public call to identify the remaining rioter who's not being identified. Clearly, the prosecutor didn't care. His boss, the attorney general, didn't care. I wonder if anyone cares in Canada in 2015 that a family of peaceful Canadian Jews were beat up in the city streets, and the rioters who confessed to it all don't get a day in jail. Tell me what the sentences were.
Okay, so for the young offender, he got a year probation, and that's it. Now, the thing that was really scary about that is he was actually already up on weapons charges from the previous event. So not only did he was on probation for a previous weapons charge, so literally nothing happened to him. He got a slap on the wrist. These 3 gentlemen, they got a fine of $300, $400, and $500. And then they all got 12 months probation, and they have to write an essay on the Canadian Charter of Freedoms and Values.
Write an essay as if they're like children in grade 8, right? But it's not about charter values. It's about don't beat up Jews. I mean, that's actually not in the charter. The charter is protecting individual rights from the government. I mean, I guess that's better than nothing. I guess that's and go ahead.
What's scary about it, Ezra? Actually, what's really scary about it was the prosecution didn't even come up with that. The judge added that herself because you could tell she was just like, why is there no educational component? Like all three of these young people, because she called them young people, but
they're all adults.
Yeah, they're all adults, but they're all from somewhere else. They'd all immigrated into Canada in the last 5 years. So the prosecution had absolutely no. He kept saying, well, I'm not sure where we would find something like that, and she said these people need to learn that Canada is not like the place they came from. They came here for a reason.
I have to tell you, Ryan, this is a disgrace. It's a disgrace on the mayor of Calgary, a disgrace on the police chief of Calgary, it's a disgrace on the prosecutor, it's a disgrace on the attorney general. And frankly, it's a disgrace that the official Jewish community in Calgary, the city I'm from, have been so silent here, and that you, a non-Jewish, righteous Gentile, have been more attentive and supportive than the official Jewish community. This is an embarrassing day, but this isn't even a Jewish matter. I happen to be Jewish, and the family that was attacked happened to be Jewish. But what about Canadian values? What about the fact that when you come to Canada as an immigrant, as these Muslim rioters did, that you solve your problems with nonviolent solutions? You don't have a Muslim supremacist rioting approach. I find this deeply offensive, not as a Jew, but as a Canadian. Ryan, I'm glad that you're on the right side here. I know our viewers are, but I feel like this week, the establishment, the justice system, and our community leaders, they let us down. Nice to talk to you, Ryan. Hopefully next time we'll have something happier to talk about. I'm Ezra Levant for TheRebel.media.